Dad's statement about her and my wedding, those words have been echoing in my mind ever since I heard them. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. There was pride in his tone, a kind of quiet acceptance that I had always hoped for, but never truly expected. He looked at me not as a boy in love, but as a man who had finally found the one meant for him. I could see in his eyes that he understood. He saw the way she changed me, how her presence steadied my soul and gave my life a kind of peace I'd never known before. For the first time, he didn't question my choice. He didn't warn me about the world or tell me to think twice. He simply said, if she makes you this sure, then she's the one. And in that moment, I realized that even he could see what I've known all along. She's not just the woman I love, she's the one who makes me whole. When he spoke about her, there was this hint of wonder in his voice, like he was remembering his own love story through mine. He said she reminded him of strength, not the loud, commanding kind, but the gentle, unwavering kind that builds a home out of chaos. He said she carried herself with grace, the kind of grace that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. Hearing him talk like that, I felt something inside me shift. All my fears, the doubts, the what ifs, the weight of expectations, they started to fade. Because when your father, the man you've looked up to your whole life, sees what you see, it's like the world finally stops fighting you. It's as if the universe itself whispers, you're on the right path. And I knew then, without question, that this was more than love. This was destiny unfolding exactly the way it was meant to. He even smiled, that rare, quiet smile of his. When he mentioned how she looked at me, he said, that's not the look of someone in love with an idea. That's the look of someone in love with a person. Those words hit me hard. Because that's what she does. She doesn't love the version of me the world sees. She loves the man behind it all, the one who's been broken, rebuilt, and still dares to love deeply. Dad said she reminded him that love isn't about perfect timing or perfect people. It's about choosing someone again and again, even when the world doesn't make it easy. Hearing him say that, I felt something deeper than approval. I felt seen, not just by him, but by the universe itself, like every step I took toward her was leading me home. And then, when he talked about the wedding, his voice softened. He said he could already imagine her walking down the aisle, her eyes finding mine, and in that moment, everything else disappearing. He said he wanted to be there, standing behind me, not just as a father, but as a witness to love that defied all odds. He told me that love like this, rare, fearless, unwavering, doesn't come often, and when it does, you hold on to it with everything you have. Marry her, he said quietly. Hun, never let the world make you doubt what your heart already knows. I don't think I'll ever forget those words. They weren't just advice. They were a blessing, a father's quiet surrender to his son's happiness. After that conversation, I sat alone for a long time, thinking about everything, about how far I've come, about how far we've come. I thought about all the moments I doubted whether the world would ever understand, and how, in the end, all that mattered was that one person, my father, did. His acceptance wasn't just approval of a marriage, it was a recognition of love's truth. And that truth is simple. She's not just my choice, she's my calling. She's the woman I was meant to find, the one I was meant to build my forever with. And knowing that my father sees it too makes everything feel complete. Sometimes I think about what he'll say on the wedding day itself. Maybe he won't say much. He's not a man of many words. But I know that when he looks at her, when he looks at us, he'll see what he's always believed in. Love that stands firm even when tested. I can already picture it, his eyes a little misty, his smile a little softer than usual. Maybe he'll whisper something as he places my hand in hers. Maybe just a few simple words like, "Take care of each other." But I know those words will carry a lifetime of meaning. And in that moment, I'll silently thank him for believing in what we have, for seeing her the way I do. Not as someone who came into my life, but as someone who became my life. So yes, Dad's statement about her and my wedding wasn't just about permission or acceptance. It was about legacy, about love being passed down generation to generation. He loved my mother with the same kind of quiet devotion I now feel for her. And maybe that's why he understood. Because love like this, pure, unwavering, unstoppable, doesn't need to be explained. It just needs to be lived. And when I finally stand there, waiting for her to walk toward me, I'll remember every word he said, every look he gave, every ounce of faith he placed in us. Because now, it's not just me fighting for this love, it's me, her, and the quiet strength of a father's blessing, the kind that makes forever feel even more real. When Dad spoke about her, there was something in his eyes I'd never seen before. A mix of pride, understanding, and a quiet kind of peace. It was as if he could finally see in me the man he always hoped I'd become. He didn't ask me to explain why I chose her. He didn't question the reasons or the differences. He simply said, "Son, when you know, you know." And that one sentence felt like a lifetime of validation, because for so long I thought people wouldn't understand our love the way it defied expectations and norms. But hearing him speak, I realized I didn't have to make the world understand. All I needed was the quiet acknowledgement from the man whose opinion mattered most, my father. And when he said he could see the light she brings into my life, I knew he meant it. He saw how she grounded me, how she turned my chaos into calm, how she made me want to be better. He told me something that night I'll never forget. He said, "The right woman doesn't just love you, she teaches you how to love right." And as soon as he said it, I thought of her, the patience in her voice, the wisdom in her silence, the strength in her softness. She taught me that love isn't loud, it's steady, it doesn't demand, it nurtures. And hearing my father acknowledge that kind of love, I felt something shift inside me, because he's seen it all. He's seen what happens when love is shallow and when it's real. And for him to say she's the kind of woman worth a lifetime meant everything. That night, I realized he didn't just accept her, he respected her. And in his eyes, that was the highest form of blessing I could ever hope for. When he mentioned the wedding, his voice softened in a way I'd rarely heard before. He said he could already imagine the day, the moment she walks in, the way my eyes will follow her every step, and the silence that will fill the room when our hearts meet in that one shared look. He said, "That's when you'll know it's real, not because the world is watching, but because your soul will finally be home." I didn't say anything, I couldn't. Because that image alone, painted by his words, felt like a dream coming alive, and it hit me. This wasn't just my wedding anymore. It was a reflection of everything I'd ever learned about love, from watching my parents, from growing, from waiting, from believing that somewhere out there, someone was meant for me. He told me he could see parts of Mom in her. The same calm strength, the same quiet confidence, the same ability to hold a room without saying a word. And when he said that, I realized what he truly meant. He wasn't comparing them, he was acknowledging that the same kind of love that once made his life whole was now about to complete mine. He said, "Your mother would have loved her. She'd have said, That's the kind of woman who won't let go when life gets hard. And hearing that, I felt this wave of emotion I couldn't describe, because in that moment, I knew I wasn't just marrying the woman I love, I was marrying the kind of soul my parents had always hoped I'd find. Dad also told me that love isn't proven by words or promises, it's proven by presence. The way she stands by you, he said, the way she doesn't flinch when life tests you, that's all I needed to see. He said love like that doesn't come from fairy tales, it comes from two people who refuse to give up on each other. And as he spoke, I thought about every moment she chose me, every time she believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, every time she loved me without needing a reason. That's when I realized Dad wasn't just talking about approval, he was teaching me how to hold on to something rare, something sacred. Then he said something that broke me in the best way possible. Son, she's not just the woman you love, she's your future, she's your peace. And I knew right then that he was right, because with her, the world doesn't feel as heavy, the storms don't seem as strong, everything feels possible, even on the hardest days. My father saw that, the way my entire being changes when I talk about her, the way my eyes soften when I say her name, and he smiled the kind of smile that says, "You did it, you found her." For now, every time I think about that conversation, it feels like more than just a moment. It feels like a turning point, because for the first time I saw my father not just as a parent, but as a man who once stood where I'm standing, nervous, in love, hopeful. He knows what it means to give your heart completely. And when he looked at me and said, "Make her happy," that's all that matters. I understood what he was really saying. He wasn't giving advice, he was passing down a legacy of love, strength, and devotion. And as I prepare to become her husband, I carry that legacy with me, knowing that this love, our love, has the blessing of both heaven and home. When Dad spoke about her, there was a weight in his tone, not heavy with doubt, but filled with meaning, with something deeper than mere approval. It was as if he'd already seen the future written in our eyes before we even told him our story. He looked at me and said, "Son, when a man looks at a woman and his soul feels at peace, he's found home." And for a moment, I couldn't even respond, because that's exactly what she is to me. My calm in every storm, my reason when the world makes no sense, my home even when I'm miles away. Hearing those words from him felt like a quiet blessing, the kind that doesn't need a ceremony or audience. It was enough, because it came from a man who's lived through love, loss, and everything in between. He told me he had noticed a change in me long before I said anything. He said, "You walk differently now. You carry yourself like someone who's found something worth protecting." And I knew he was right. She changed me in ways I never imagined possible. She softened the hard parts of me without ever asking me to change who I was. She brought color back into the corners of my life I had stopped paying attention to. My father saw that. He saw the way my eyes light up when her name comes up, the way my voice softens, the way I unconsciously smile just thinking about her. And that's when he said, "If she brings you peace, son, she's already family." Those words hit me harder than anything else, because they weren't spoken out of obligation. They came from genuine love and recognition. He told me about the first time he saw my mother, and I could see the memory flicker across his face like an old photograph brought back to life. I knew, he said, not because of anything she did, but because of how I felt when I was with her. And I realized that's exactly what I feel with her. That quiet certainty, that unexplainable comfort, That sense that no matter what happens, no matter where life takes us, I'll always find my way back to her. He told me that love isn't supposed to be dramatic or perfect. It's supposed to be honest. It's supposed to make you grow. It's supposed to make you braver. And that's when I knew my father understood. He didn't just approve of her. He has believed in us. When he spoke of the wedding, there was this faraway look in his eyes, as if he was already picturing it. He said, "It won't just be a day, it'll be a promise, not to each other, but to yourselves." He said the vows won't just be words, they'll be the echo of everything we've already lived through. And he told me that if she's the one who's seen me at my weakest and still stood beside me, then she's already made her vows long before the ceremony. That's what he saw in her. The loyalty that doesn't waver, the patience that doesn't break, and the love that doesn't demand proof. He told me that every great marriage begins not with fireworks, but with faith. And I knew exactly what he meant. He said something else, something that stayed with me long after the conversation ended. When a woman loves you right, son, the world can try to pull you apart, but nothing will ever succeed. And in that moment, I felt the truth of it, because we've already faced storms that could have broken us, but instead, they only made us stronger. We've been tested by distance, by time, by silence, yet every time, love found its way back. My father saw that resilience in her eyes, that quiet fire that refuses to fade. And I think in his heart, he knew that no one else could ever love me the way she does, fiercely, selflessly, endlessly. Then he looked at me and smiled that proud, knowing smile only a father can give. "You've become a man," he said, "not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you've chosen." I think that's when I understood the true meaning of love. It's not just about finding someone who makes you happy. It's about finding someone who makes you whole, someone who sees your flaws and still chooses you every single day. Someone who doesn't complete you because you were never broken, but rather amplifies the best parts of who you are. And when he said she was the right one, I realized he wasn't just talking about love. He was talking about destiny. Now, every time I remember that conversation, I carry it like a sacred promise, because my father's words weren't just a blessing, they were a legacy, a reminder that love is something you build, not something you find by chance. He taught me that real love is quiet but unshakable, soft but powerful, gentle but enduring. And when I think about her, when I imagine her walking toward me on that day, I can hear his voice echoing in my mind. Protect her heart the way she's protected yours. That's the kind of love he raised me to believe in. And that's exactly the kind of love I'll live by for the rest of my life.